Welcome to the 2025 Teacher Exchange kickoff event, Let's Learn. We're so glad to have you with us today. We know it's been a wild ride this summer, and we hope the next 2 hours will connect us all and launch us into a productive and successful year for our teachers and for our learners. We know it's all about the students, and we also know our teachers need support to help them reach and teach their learners. Providing community, resources, and support is the heart of the 2025 Teacher Exchange. Thanks for prioritizing your own learning as we put our students in the middle of everything we do. We will be interacting throughout this session and throughout the year, thus the name Exchange. So let's get started. Your training team for today is the Southern Illinois Professional Development Network, or the SIPDC. Together with the ALRC, we make up your Adult Education Professional Development Network, or PDN. We are honored to know many of you already, and if this is the first time we're together, we look forward to more opportunities to learn and grow with you. Let's take a quick look at our agenda. We plan to model many proven effective engagement practices throughout the next 2 hours, and we're starting with this slide. Knowing what to expect and what is expected is key to engaging our brains and preparing them to learn. We'll start with a brief overview of what the Teacher Exchange is, what it will include, and how you can help shape what you see in the Teacher Exchange. Then we'll provide a brief overview of adult education in Illinois. This may be a review for some of you, but we want to make sure all of us understand how adult ed fits into the larger picture of the federal funding and oversight. We also want you to see Illinois adult ed as each state is different. Illinois is a large adult ed provider, and that gives us some unique opportunities and challenges. The bulk of our time will focus on creating and using activities to engage students. Why this topic? Last spring, we sent out a survey to the adult ed field in Illinois, asking teachers to tell us their top priorities for training. We heard you loud and clear that engaging students is a top priority. We'd like to continue to hear us. We'd like to continue to hear you. So let's start out by gathering your thoughts about what you want to learn today. When these 2 hours are over, what will make you say, that was worth my time? Please think about that for a minute and put it on your notes page. Why are we taking this time to ask? We are modeling the importance of active participation. Also, by knowing what we want, we can be responsive to what you're looking for. If it is outside of the scope of these 2 hours, we can acknowledge that, but also try and find a way to get you the information or the training you want. And that's true for your classrooms as well. Thanks for activating your brain by thinking and calling out what you're looking for today. You are much more likely to learn if your brain is ready and open to information and ideas. Last on our agenda, we'll finish with a closing reflection and a review on the next steps. First on the agenda, let's start by looking at what the Teacher Exchange is and what to expect in the months to come. As mentioned, we will share content selected by our Illinois teachers in a variety of ways. One of those ways is by building community throughout the year through collaboration with monthly events. This slide represents the general cadence of these meetings for the fiscal year, and what you'll see on your screen is the fall schedule. We chose Fridays at 1 based on feedback that we received from the recent survey. We want to offer evening options as well, so we added Thursday evenings for the Let's Share months, and we'll see how that goes. The Let's Learn meetings every other month will be 2 hours and learning workshop style. Then we'll get to try these best practices and come all back together to share and collaborate. We're going to be networking and getting to know each other throughout the year.
Let's level set a bit about adult education in Illinois. You are part of a nationwide and statewide group of dedicated educators working to provide our learners with opportunities in language learning, academic skills, employability skills, and beyond. Just like our students, it feels really good to know that we're part of a group. The legislation that we all live under is WIOA, the Workforce Integration and Opportunities Act. This is the federal legislation that directs all adult education programs throughout the country. WIOA is designed to help job seekers access employment, education, training, and support services needed in the labor market and to match employers with workers. WIOA authorizes employment and training services for adults, dislocated workers, and youth through formula grants administered to all the states. And don't worry, we're going to get to the why this matters in our day-to-day activities in the next few slides. So WIOA, again, that federal legislation, the national laws require each state to have a unified plan that describes how it will work across the required 4 titles. So the partners all work together to serve our learners. And in Illinois, Title I is the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, referred to a lot as DCEO. So when you hear that in meetings and such, you'll know that's one of our title partners. Title II is where we live. So there's a lot of reference to us being a part of Title II in Illinois. That's the Illinois Community College Board, where adult ed and literacy lives. So ICCB, Title II, that's why you're hearing all this information. It's part of our partnership under this legislation. Illinois Department of Economic Security, IDES, that's Title III. And Title IV, another title partner of ours, the Illinois Department of Human Services, or IDHS, and vocational rehabilitation programs. Seasoned or new, again, it's always great to know that we're part of a group and a part of something big that impacts thousands of lives. Let's first take a look at some numbers, and then we'll bring it all back to how adult education works and some of the information we talked to in the past couple slides. And look, I know that I was in adult education for years before I had a grasp of the organizations, how everything runs, and especially now, to keep it running, we all need to work together. There's a saying that a high tide raises all boats, and we're fortunate in Illinois to have quality programming all across the state, as well as many options for professional learning and growth. So as a mission of this teacher exchange, we want to connect all of us together so we can learn and grow together to give our 63,000 plus learners the best opportunity for success. So this is pointing to the data that we have on the screen here. The national information was taken from our national professional organization, the Coalition on Adult Basic Education, or COABE. If you have not joined, please visit their website, which we'll put in the chat, and also in your notes. From advocacy to professional development, partnerships to podcasts, COABE offers a wealth of opportunity in our field. And if you're a member of our state association for adult education, IASA, you are already a member of COABE, and both of these organizations serve as key voices for educators and students in adult education. So again, in that first column on the left, this data came from COABE. I know you can see the data, but just to kind of point out a couple of things and compare it to our state numbers. There's 1.2 million learners currently enrolled in adult education across the country. And there are 2,300 member programs across the country as well. In Illinois, the data here was taken from recent DAISY reports. That's our data reporting system that all programs use, yours too, whether or not you're a part of entry and data or not, DAISY or not, all of our data goes in there. And so kind of just to compare, we had 63,000 plus learners last year and about 71 programs across the state. Again, just to kind of bring it home here, why did we take this time to level set about the numbers and our legislation? It's important to understand that we're all an essential part of a larger state and national system with many goals. Strategies that we're covering during this teacher exchange are part of what helps us to get the best possible results and data to put us in the best place to secure our ongoing funding and our presence here to serve those that we encounter in our day-to-day lives. The WIOA legislation that we talked about, that provides funding to our states to run our programs. And so in turn, states must follow the terms of this grant through WIOA and prove that we're meeting the requirements to keep that funding coming. So testing, attendance, level gains, retention, our students' all overall experience, it matters because this is a part of how we keep going. So we must do our best to serve our learners, help them meet their goals, know what their goals are, and do our very best to make sure we remain here to do this year and year again.
All right. So as we get started on our main topic today, creating and using activities to engage students, not everything we discuss in the teacher exchange will apply perfectly to your teaching situation. When you find something that isn't 100% relevant, think of it not as this stop sign that you see on your screen. Don't put it, but that won't work, but it rather as a yield sign. Yes, I see the importance, and this is how I might be able to apply it to what I do. An example of that is if something is shared today that is for an in-person class, but you teach online, we encourage you to think about how the concept could be adapted to your needs. And if you're not sure, feel free to ask. Okay, so when we talk about having engaged students, is this what comes to mind? A room full of students who are seated in rows, listening to a teacher, raising their hands to answer a question. Maybe your idea of student engagement in the classroom looks different, so let's explore that. Getting to know our students is key. It is the foundation to every other aspect of our classroom and of our instruction. Why does it matter? Because knowing you matter is what keeps people coming, even when the going gets tough. Just in case you're thinking spending time doing icebreakers or getting to know your learners is fluff, you can incorporate learning into your icebreakers to optimize your time. Also, when you learn something about your students, we need to be sure to have a system to infuse this information into the lessons. So we're going to take a look. Oh, and before we do that, remember, you matter. Unless you multiply yourself by the speed of light squared, then you energy. So one of the things we really want to encourage you is to have fun in your classroom as well. Connection is essential. Our classrooms are more than a matter of logistics. This is from an awesome LinkedIn post, and we're going to discuss some different parts of this throughout our time together. But let's start by reading this post and really reflecting on it. The human formula of attendance. Attendance isn't about compliance, it's about connection. It's not about a matter of logistics, it's a matter of psychological safety. Students don't just need to be present, they need to feel like they matter. They need to be more than a name on a roll call. They need to feel seen, heard, and needed. With that lens, let's think about how to make our students feel seen, heard, and needed. And let's look at how we can maximize this time. So here's a real example to get you started to think about how to implement this in your classroom. We're going to fill this time with some ideas for you to take back and implement right away. And we're going to ask you to share in a variety of different ways over time with each other. But here's one way to get started. And remember, icebreakers are a way of continually getting to know your students and what they're interested in and what motivates them. So Kelly Meyer, a creative and innovative teacher from Lewis and Clark Community College down in Godfrey, Illinois, and some of you may know Kelly, know what a fantastic teacher she is. She some thoughts about how she incorporated what she learned from one of our trainings. So I'm going to quote Kelly. We do some of the greatest icebreakers with our students where we learn tons about their interests and hobbies. But do we make good use of that valuable info? or do we file it away, never to be seen again? Kelly urges us to make use of those hobbies and interests with the power of the internet and work examples into your lessons. Kelly says, sure, we can kick off a lesson on graphs by showing a graph of Sally's apple buying habits, but who really cares about that? But what if the graph is about your students' favorite artists or their album sales? What about a graph showing the latest Marvel movie sales, which you see here on the screen? The possibilities are endless to get buy-in while having students really feel heard. Some students even send Kelly requests. Can you find a way to work Juice World into a future lesson? He's my favorite artist. And of course, you know that she did. Uncle Google and Aunt YouTube will be your best friend for this, is what Kelly tells us. Search for both the student's interest and the skill in the same search line, and with any luck, you might just strike gold. So that's a beginning idea of a way to provide engagement. And here's another one. This icebreaker is an old, tried and true. It's been used about 1 million times, maybe not quite 1 million, but up there. It was good back in the old days, and it still works today, both in person and virtually. Have your students fill in 4 quadrants of a physical or digital card, and then they can either spend time introducing each other or introducing themselves. Why is this a valuable icebreaker? Let's unpack it a little bit. Number 1, please call me. Names are important in making sure we know our students and know what they want to be called, not just what's on the roster, shows that we care about them as an individual. I'm good at making sure they know what they're good at, and me as their teacher knowing what they are proud of are great ways to get started. And here's a few options for extensions. There may be an area of expertise that someone shares, and they could actually provide that expertise in the classroom. They could teach everybody about it. So it's really a helpful way to help out in the class. And knowing what you're good at and being able to articulate that information is an interview skill and a work skill. Start talking about that from day one. And just in case they don't think that they're good at anything, this is an opportunity to start building an understanding of what your students can do. And that's very important. Number 3, it irritates me when. Building community means understanding that we are all unique and have both unique qualities as well as things that get under our skin. Knowing this information on day 1 will help solve potential problems upstream before they get big problems downstream. And my personal favorite, number 4, when I'm learning something new, I like to. Imagine not only knowing how your students like to learn, but also them understanding how they like to learn. What a fantastic way to start the learning experience. Okay, we want to get to know them. We want to keep asking them how lessons and topics are working for them. We have another great resource for you. What's on the screen is a result of one of our teachers taking a step back and focusing on helping students feel like they belong and also asking them what they need to persist. This is what her learner shared with her. Take the time to get to know them. It will be worth your time and save time in the future. So I mentioned we're going to share that resource with you. In your notes is a link to a Google Doc, and that is from Sarah Leineke from Southeastern Illinois College. She created a survey that both asks students how they learn best and includes an exit ticket that she uses anonymously to find out how particular lessons or topics were working for them. And then, of course, she adjusts based on the input that they give her because she asks and she listens and she does something about it so they feel seen and heard. This was part of a Friday feature. Now, if you don't know what a Friday feature is, then we need to make sure we get you on the PDN Pulse, and that's in your note page as well. Please sign up for that because once a week you'll get an email that's telling you all the great opportunities to support you, including things like the teacher exchange and other trainings. And there's also a Friday feature, usually about every other week, that spotlights some fantastic work from someone around the state. One of the great things about the Friday feature is it's a nugget for you to use and say, okay, wait a minute, here's a resource that I might want to try. And if you're doing something fantastic, we'd love to hear about that as well, because that could be another Friday feature in the future. Why do we need to hear from our students? how they want to learn. I'm going to read a quote on here from the screen from Joey Learman from the Community Learning Partners, and you may know of Joey as well. If you didn't have, it's challenging for teachers to design learning experiences that they never experienced for themselves in school. If you didn't have digital interactive tools to supplement your learning as a student, it can be challenging to envision such an activity, plan it, and enact it. If you didn't participate in group work or hands-on math activities, you may find it difficult to see how these things might benefit students. If you were in a school where the teacher was the authority figure and students remained silent and took notes, it could be hard for you to create a classroom environment where students lead, make choices, teach each other, and ask questions. So let's take the focus off of ourselves as best we can and put the focus on our students. How do they learn best? What do they need in terms of classroom culture, lesson type, activity, and design? As we consider putting the focus on our student, let's remember to keep our lens asset-based and help our learners see themselves as capable. Help them learn how to learn, not just what to learn. Teaching people rather than just content means helping them understand who they are, what they have to offer, and how to advocate for themselves. They learn not just information about, but how to contextualize that information and apply it to their daily lives and to the world of work. Make sure you know their goals and tie instruction to their goals. Another resource for you in the note page is the 10-minute interview. It's another way to ask questions and to learn about your learners and to help them reflect on what they want to get out of the classroom and reflect on themselves. So icebreakers help form the community. It aids in persistence and retention and helps with group work throughout our time together. So I'd like for you to think about, is there a way to give your tried and true icebreaker activity an upgrade so you can squeeze more lime juice out of your lime? If you have a thought, we'd love for you to take a minute and put that on your note page. Really reflect on what have you been doing and what can you do? And maybe get together with a fellow teacher and brainstorm. You can also talk with your students about what is valuable to them. Try something, then be transparent about what you're trying to accomplish and let them, through feedback, help you decide, did this work or do I need to adjust it? I can plan for future activities based on the input from my students. Create a learning culture that values taking responsibility for one's learning. Let your students help create discussion questions for each other, find ways to collaborate, or to focus or refocus on the learning goal. So think about, what else are you already doing in your classrooms? So really think about, what are you doing to engage your learners? And then I'd also like you to think about, what's a key takeaway from our few minutes that we've already been together before we move on. Think about this now, and we'll come back to these questions in our exit ticket from this section to the next section. We're giving you some time to reflect so that you'll be ready for that question when that's coming later. That's also another great engagement technique, is to give people time, but let them know, let them think about it, and we'll come back to that later. Mindful of what you want to accomplish in any particular lesson. So that's true of the activity or any lesson or anything that you're doing in your classroom. Remember, for you and for your students, go back to what the goal is and what the students' goals are and relate goals to instruction. Later today, we're going to ask you to set a goal for the teacher exchange. One of the values of setting a goal and sharing your goal with someone else helps you to value your goal and to be held accountable to working on that goal. Another resource we have for you is, if you want to learn more about goal setting and how to work on goal setting with your students, is we have a course in iLearn all about goal setting. And that is in your notes page. And it's also part of the teacher exchange in iLearn, which we'll talk about a little bit more. So whether you're a UDL expert, Universal Design for Learning, or have never heard of UDL, let's take a quick make that quick connection before we move on. UDL helps improve and optimize teaching and learning for all people based on scientific insights into how humans learn. Knowing that, and what you've heard so far, take a minute and think about how icebreakers, surveys, or goal setting create an engaging learning space by optimizing choice and autonomy, showing relevance, value, and authenticity through contextualization. Icebreakers also nurture joy and play and can address bias, threats, and distractions. We'd love for you to check out UDL. There's a couple of ways that you can do that. We have a website that's linked in your note pages. And also we'd love to have you complete an Intro to UDL course in iLearn. So you can visit that Teacher Exchange iLearn course that I mentioned earlier for more resources and a link to that intro course. All right, let's think beyond the first days. How many of you have learned something important about your students later in the academic year? We want to keep asking and learning about your students throughout the time together. We have to keep giving students the opportunity to let us get to know them in a variety of different ways. One of the ways to do that is through an exit ticket. We mentioned that before, and I bet a lot of you are using exit tickets. So let's try it out as we exit from section 1 to section 2, because we want you to reflect a little bit before we move on. We have a Padlet that we have created as an asynchronous way for all of the people in the Teacher Exchange to communicate with each other. And that link is on your note page. So we encourage you to pause this video for a minute, go to the Padlet, and tell us one thing that you're already doing to engage learners. Now, when you get there, you're going to see that there's a bunch of other ideas. This is a teacher exchange, and we want you to exchange your ideas with each other. So put something down, but also take a minute to read through what everybody has done.